The burden of seeing clearly. Have you ever felt that the more aware you become, the heavier life feels? That understanding too much doesn't bring peace, but distance? Most people think awareness is liberation, but for many it's the beginning of exile. When you start observing the world without illusion, you notice things others ignore. How often people speak without meaning, how easily truth is replaced by comfort, how society rewards noise over depth. It's not arrogance, it's perception. You simply see too much. History has always distrusted those who see beyond the veil. Every era celebrates innovation while punishing insight. Socrates questioned the crowd and was condemned. Giordano Bruno imagined infinite worlds and burned for it. Even today, the thinkers who expose uncomfortable truths are dismissed as pessimists. Society loves the idea of intelligence, but not the reality of it. Why? Because clarity dismantles illusions, and illusions are what keep people functioning. The modern world runs not on truth, but on agreement. We survive by consensus, not by consciousness. The one who sees too deeply disturbs the equilibrium, and nothing threatens comfort more than someone who refuses to sleep. Psychologically, awareness operates like a mirror. When your presence reflects honesty, others glimpse their own contradictions. They sense judgment where there is none. It's not that deep thinkers make others feel small. It's that they awaken the awareness people spend their whole lives trying to suppress. And so, paradoxically, the more awake you become, the lonelier it gets. Because awareness changes the currency of belonging. You no longer trade in the same values. You crave meaning while others chase distraction. You value silence while others fear it. You ask why in a world addicted to how. But remember this, loneliness born of depth is not failure. It's the echo of freedom. To see clearly is to walk ahead of the crowd, and clarity by nature has few companions. The psychology of isolation. The roots of intellectual isolation are ancient. Human beings evolved to prioritize belonging over truth. Our ancestors survived not because they understood the stars, but because they understood one another. Rejection meant death. Harmony meant life. That primal wiring still governs us. Even now, our brains register disagreement as danger. When someone challenges our worldview, our amygdala fires the same alarm bells once reserved for predators. This is why people react defensively to new ideas. Not because they're ignorant, but because their biology demands safety over change. Deep thinkers disrupt that safety. They introduce dissonance where others seek certainty. Their presence reminds people that what they believe might not be true. And truth, when stripped of fantasy, rarely feels comforting. Modern life amplifies this paradox. Social media rewards emotional simplicity. The fastest, loudest, most polarized opinions rise first. Nuance drowns in the algorithm, and those who still seek depth begin to feel misplaced, like old souls trapped in an echo chamber of noise. Confidence, not comprehension, defines influence today. We listen not to the wise, but to the certain. The louder someone speaks, the truer they seem, and the quieter, more contemplative voices vanish beneath the current. Yet here's the quiet tragedy. Society secretly needs its thinkers. Progress has never come from comfort. It comes from those who dare to disturb it. Every reform, every revolution, every leap of understanding began with someone who refused to pretend that ignorance was bliss. So if you've ever felt misunderstood for thinking deeply, you are not failing. You are fulfilling your role in the human story. The discomfort you cause isn't cruelty, it's evolution. Still, awareness demands strength, because truth doesn't protect its seekers, it exposes them. The curse and gift of awareness. What makes awareness so heavy is not knowledge itself, but the collapse of illusion. To awaken is to realize how fragile meaning truly is, how much of life is built on repetition, belief, and distraction. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer called it the will to truth, a compulsion to understand reality, even when understanding dissolves comfort. He argued that most people live under the will to live, to seek pleasure, safety, and continuation. But thinkers, artists, visionaries, they are cursed with the will to truth, a hunger that can't be satisfied by pleasure or praise. Once you start seeing the structure behind human behavior, how people chase status to mask fear, how desire is often just the echo of emptiness, you can't unsee it. And the more you see, the more detached you become. That detachment can be mistaken for arrogance, but in truth, it's exhaustion. To perceive deeply is to lose the ability to participate blindly. You can't laugh at illusions you've dissected. You can't worship what you've already unmasked. But awareness, for all its pain, also carries profound beauty. When you stop expecting the world to make sense, you begin to appreciate it as art rather than system. You see people not as hypocrites, but as fragile beings doing their best to survive within their own delusions. And in that recognition, compassion awakens. True intelligence isn't about superiority, it's about understanding without contempt. It's realizing that even ignorance has purpose. It shields people from despair. You can't drag everyone into awareness. You can only light your own lantern and walk forward. That's why solitude, for the thinker, becomes sanctuary. It's not rejection, it's recalibration. The silence between thoughts is where the noise of the world dissolves, and the self begins to speak clearly. Living with clarity in an unclear world. If deep thinking isolates us, how do we live with that weight without collapsing under it? Schopenhauer suggested two answers: solitude and artistry. Modern psychology would add a third: meaning. Solitude is where understanding matures. When you stop seeking validation, your ideas sharpen. You begin to observe yourself as deeply as you once observed the world. Artistry, whether through writing, music, or creation, transforms pain into expression. It's how the thinker communicates without compromise. And meaning is the bridge. Awareness without meaning becomes nihilism, but awareness anchored in purpose becomes wisdom. You may never fit perfectly into the world, but you can build a life that reflects what you've learned. To live consciously is not to escape pain. It's to engage with it deliberately. It's to look at chaos and still choose creation. To witness ignorance and still choose empathy. To see the futility of desire and still choose beauty. Remember this: there is no virtue in blindness, but no shame in limitation either. Each person is carrying the awareness they can bear. The task of the thinker is not to rise above humanity, but to understand it deeply enough to remain kind, because intelligence without compassion becomes cruelty, and awareness without humility becomes despair. So when your insight feels like a curse, when you ache to belong among those who no longer see as you do, remember, this loneliness is not exile, it's initiation. You are not apart from the world. You are its witness, its conscience, its mirror. The weight you carry is not punishment, it's proof of sight. And in time, that sight will guide others, not through preaching, but through presence. Because those who truly see the world eventually realize that understanding it was never the point. The point was to love it anyway. Hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started.